All right, hello and welcome everyone to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. It's been a long day of streaming about WWE already, but we are back now for the Elimination Chamber instant reaction review. We're going to be going through all the kind of highlights from the show, and I'll be going to let you know what I thought of each of the matches themselves and what I think it means for WrestleMania going forward. Thank you to everyone that's joined us so far on our build-up show and our watch-along. But here we are going to dive into, again, each and every one of the matches that we saw there in Perth, Australia, right after this.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.
Okay, everyone, welcome back again to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. My name is Scott, and I'm really gonna kind of hitting you with my kind of instant thoughts and reactions to the show that we've just witnessed in Perth, Australia. That was, of course, Elimination Chamber. Now, it's an interesting show at the best of times. Every year, kind of been in between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania. It does mean it's the opportunity to kind of throw a spanner in the works, so to speak. It wasn't the case tonight. We had no surprises tonight. I'm so used to doing these streams at ridiculous hours, but it's actually the afternoon here in the UK. But no surprises, no twists, and every single result was exactly what I expected. The only things that were different were kind of the matches that were maybe set up for WrestleMania that we didn't expect, that came from some of the chamber action we saw earlier on as well. So what we're going to do, again, we're going to break it down match by match, and just going to kind of run through my instant thoughts. If you want to see my thoughts kind of even more instant than instant, you can check out the watch along where you can see myself and Lucas kind of commentating through the entire event. But that is over and done with. We are here now to kind of have a little bit of a recap overall. Now, the first match that we saw on the show, well, just before the show really, was Indy Hartwell and Candice LeRae going up against the Kabuki Warriors. Now, Kabuki Warriors come out on top on this one. I was surprised to not see involvement from Bayley. Again, we mentioned it on the streams earlier on. She seems to be the forgotten Royal Rumble winner, but yeah, it wasn't the case. We didn't see Bayley today. Again, very confusing. But essentially, Bayley wasn't on the show, which is a real kind of shame. They really do have to start heating up that program going forward to make it mean something going into WrestleMania, because it deserves to be important and prominently featured. But either way, the Kabuki Warriors come away with a victory here, which I thought they might, but I thought they would then have a bit of a beat down, and Bayley comes out for the save to help, the Australian Indy Hartwell and her friend Candice LeRae. But again, it wasn't to be. But that's how we started the show. Well, not the show, but the event, I guess you could say, until we head into the main show itself. But overall, I would say it was a really enjoyable show. I think Elimination Chamber is, again, one of those shows where you've got this kind of jeopardy because of WrestleMania coming. You've also got the gimmick match, of course. And I think they've delivered quite well. And of course, that gimmick match being the Elimination Chamber, that's what we open up the event with. In the match that I actually thought was going to be the main event, but it wasn't to be. But the women opened up. We had Becky Lynch defeating Bianca Belair, Liv Morgan, Naomi, Raquel Rodriguez, and Tiffany Stratton. A great showing, I think, from all girls in this match. I think Tiffany looked really impressive. And again, kind of, put her flag down essentially for those that are unfamiliar with her work, having kind of just come up from NXT. I thought Naomi did quite well. Quite shocking to see her go out early and also before everyone had been kind of introducing to the match. But 32 minutes long, this one. A pretty entertaining match overall, and really cool to see the way they finished it as well, because we were talking on the stream about whether or not it was going to end with just Becky and Bianca, as you might expect. But they actually, the final two technically were Becky and Liv Morgan, because Bianca had just been eliminated by Liv, and then straight away Liv gets eliminated by Becky Lynch. So it's a really cool way to kind of end the match. You don't usually see. I was talking about on the stream whether or not we could see a double pin or something like that. Not quite, but something quite similar in the sense that the match was over very quickly. But it was, again, a really, really enjoyable match. And I'm trying to think of the top of my head, what one did I prefer more, the men's or the women's? Not sure. We'll see if I can come to a verdict in a moment. It is all still very fresh. We are coming at you live as soon as the show has ended, of course. Next up, though, we had the tag title match of the Judgment Day. Finn Bálor and Damian Priest, of course, the champions, defending against the New Catch Republic of Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. An enjoyable match. It reminded me of some of the stuff that you saw with Tyler in NXT when it was black and gold NXT, and you had Moustache Mountain. I thought it was good. Again, another predictable one for me, though. I didn't see those guys winning. When we did our predictions the other day, I thought, maybe there's a chance because they've built this new tag team. But as Dan mentioned, it looks like we're probably going to go towards Judgment Day and Awesome Truth. Or even if we don't do that, Judgment Day against these guys once again, maybe at WrestleMania. So it'd be interesting to see how that kind of plays out. Of course, you've also got Senor Money in the Bank in the mix as well. So whether or not he does something at WrestleMania, we'll have to wait and see. But we will be covering WrestleMania in depth on this channel. If you haven't already, please subscribe. We'd love to have you with us for the journey, continuing on this road to WrestleMania and for our WrestleMania coverage overall. But again, enjoyable match. It's such a weird thing to say, isn't it? What was the worst match of the night? I guess the Chambers stole the show. Let's put it that way. But the rest of them, still good, still enjoyable. Did exactly what they needed to do, and they were in their place. This one went about 17 minutes, and again, it was the champions going in with the titles, those same people walking out with them as well. Finn, though, walked out with what looks like a little injury on his thumb. He was holding his hand quite kind of interestingly, and it was definitely kind of keeping it away when he did his final coup de grace as well. So hopefully not something that's going to be too much of an issue going forward. But yeah, it does look like Finn Bálor may have picked up a hand injury in this match. Didn't see where it happened. Be interesting to look back and see what the cause of that was. But yeah, hopefully if Finn is injured, that it'll be a speedy recovery. Now, moving on, though, we have another Elimination Chamber, of course, to talk about. And as I kept saying throughout today's streams, these are stacked chamber matches. On paper, you could see a lot of these potentially winning. But when you really look at the kind of landscape at the moment and this build to WrestleMania, there was also kind of spoilers in there of like, of course, Bobby Lashley's not going to win. Of course, Kevin Owens isn't going to win. Of course, Logan Paul isn't going to win. There's a slight scenario where Randy Orton or LA Knight could have done it, but they look to be going in different directions now as well, because, of course, Drew McIntyre, as I think pretty much everyone predicted, walked out of Elimination Chamber with a #1 contendership. He is going after Seth freaking Rollins at WrestleMania. Now, this match here, again, really enjoyable. It kind of gave me exactly what I expected. The only thing missing was I thought we might get like a big high spot from Logan Paul jumping off of the chamber or something like that. But maybe they're just kind of settling things down a bit, because every time we had a Logan Paul match before, there were these huge moments. And it meant that Royal Rumble was it felt lackluster, I'll be honest. That match with him and him and Kevin Owens wasn't as good as I expected. Maybe it is to kind of dampen expectations so that when he hits these big kind of spectacular moves again, it stands out, So that could be the case. And it looks like if he's going to be hitting them at WrestleMania, it's going to be maybe on Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. That was the match that we seem to be kind of setting up here in the chamber. You had that great moment where Logan Paul had the brass knuckles and he's about to set up and use them, and then out of nowhere, quite literally, we've got Randy Orton hitting him with an RKO. So a really cool kind of visual there. And then that doesn't sit well with Logan Paul, and he keeps them on his fist and he whacks Randy Orton straight in the face. And he sold that very well for Drew McIntyre to take advantage, as the heel should do, takes advantage of the situation, just like he's done overall with his positioning on the card. We're seeing Punk being out injured as well. I think it really kind of plays into this new version of the heel Drew McIntyre as well. So really enjoyable there. I'm looking forward to seeing Drew's promo on Raw. I want to hear him talk it up, and I want to see him take advantage of situations like this, being the kind of heel that he's playing at the moment. Now, the match overall, again, enjoyable match. LA Knight got a great pop, as you'd expect. Looks like he isn't going to go in the direction of Logan Paul, which is what I was expecting for WrestleMania for the US title. And instead, that's going to be, again, Kevin Owens and Randy Orton. But LA Knight is going to be busy as well. Don't you worry. It looks like he's going to be facing AJ Styles, which I was very shocked by. Because, again, as I mentioned to Lucas on the watch-along, there's no jeopardy in that match for me. So a bit concerning, because I felt like if you weren't going to win the big one anytime soon, then winning a mid-card title would have been a good thing for him. But it looks like it's just going to be a grudge match with AJ Styles. So be interested to see how that plays out. Also, between these matches, I should have mentioned a moment ago, we had another segment, of course, the Grayson Waller effect. Grayson Waller, huge reaction in Australia. And then we had, first of all, he was introduced by his friend, Austin Theory. Not sure if they're friends anymore, though, because he kind of fed Austin to the wolves with Cody Rhodes, Seth Rollins, going after Austin Theory. As you can imagine, this broke down into a physical interaction, and Grayson just kind of stepped back and let it be. So it'd be interesting to see what happens between those guys. But I guess you kind of have to do something in the sense of having Grayson Waller on the show and just kind of lapping it up, really. You know, I thought he'd turn heel in his home country, as you often see when, the fans want to cheer their kind of their countrymen. But they didn't do that. They really just took it in and kind of allowed him to kind of soak it up. And he took the Australian flag from a fan and kind of just really kind of lapped it up. Speaking of which, we also had, of course, in the main event, Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship, the native Australian, going up against Nia Jax. Now, again, another enjoyable match. Is positioned on the card I've mentioned already, so I won't bore you by going into it once again. But if you want to know my thoughts in a bit more detail, check out the watch along and the build up. But I was of the opinion that this shouldn't be main event, and it wasn't a main event caliber match when you compare it to the other matches that we saw on the card. Now, was it a main event moment? Yes, the introduction of Rhea Ripley, the moment at the very end, I completely understand when we're looking at it from that perspective, why this match went on last. It was a good match. It's not a headline pay-per-view closing match, in my opinion. But again, because of the scenario with Rhea Ripley, it did make sense for putting her in that spot. And again, what an amazing moment for her. Really enjoyed watching her kind of take in the moment and the atmosphere of her kind of country fans. Now, again, whether or not it should have gone on last is another kind of discussion. But what isn't up for debate is kind of Rhea Ripley's star power. And she looked like an absolute mega star in this match and played a different role. You know, she played the role of kind of, the smaller wrestler, I guess. Usually she's dominating, but this one she was kind of the underdog, and I think it kind of made sense really with the Australian fans as well, who were very, very behind it. Some great chants throughout the night as well, by the way. Really, really pleased to see countries like Australia get these big PLE events, and I really do hope this trend continues. Of course, in a few months' time, we are going to have a PLE from France, and then there's one from Germany. I'm hoping that the UK gets another one soon as well, and of course we will be covering all those events on this very channel. Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling is where it is at for wrestling content. We have predictions, we have previews, we have recaps, we have watch-alongs every now and then, but we also have interviews with your favorite WWE superstars, such as who we've just been mentioning a moment ago, Rhea Ripley as well. We had a great chat with her a few months back. So if you haven't already, check out our interview with Rhea Ripley on this very channel. And beyond that, of course, we've had interviews with the likes of LA Knight, and also had great conversations with people like Damian Priest and Liv Morgan in the past as well. So if you haven't already, go and check out those interviews. But back to the kind of issue at hand and Elimination Chamber. Overall, I thought it was a really enjoyable show. I was saying earlier on to Lucas that I was a bit concerned that, you know, maybe under kind of serving the fans might come back to bite WWE, because yes, it's very impressive that they got 50,000 plus in a stadium outside of North America, but is that going to continue when you can, you know, keep giving them these kind of cards that, let's face it, not a lot happens on, right? Entertaining show overall, and I guess that's what it's all about, really. But if we're talking about the grand scheme of things and twists and turns for WrestleMania and kind of canon, if you will, not a lot happened. We got to where we kind of expected we would be, which is okay. You know, sometimes the obvious winner is fine, and it's obvious for a reason, because we all feel like it should be Drew McIntyre and it probably should be Becky Lynch, for example. But at the same time, I think this PLE did suffer from a lot of people going into it with the kind of negative, you know, mindset. But I will say credit to the talent, credit to WWE, because they really did deliver a good show here. I just think it's risky going forward that people might start to think, I'm not going to that. It's a glorified house show. This kind of excitement eventually will wear off of the kind of, you know, the special factor of having, oh, it's a PLE in this country, for example. Second or third time they go back to those countries, and don't get me wrong, there's a lot of countries in the world to kind of play that card for as well before you do have to go back somewhere. But eventually that novelty could wear off if you don't stack the card in a way that kind of is I guess fitting of the occasion, right? You know, we've got 50-odd thousand for this event. And yes, Elimination Chamber is a big gimmick match anyway. But I just feel like something was missing off of this show. Was it Roman Reigns and a bloodline? Probably. I did feel like there was a chance The Rock could show up, you know. CM Punk being injured didn't help. But then again, when this was booked, Punk was in AEW, so you know, you can't really blame it on that either. So either way, though, I will say again, an enjoyable show. Very strange to watch a show at this time of day here in the UK. We're now approaching 2 p.m. But thank you to everyone that joined us earlier on in the morning. We started these streams at 9 a.m. With our build-up show, and then we had our watch-along as well. So again, if you're rewatching the show or anything like that and you didn't see it with us earlier on, I encourage you to go back and watch our watch along to see kind of our instant thoughts, if you will. But I've been Scott. We have been the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. Again, subscribe if you haven't already. And we're going to see you, I'm sure, back here for a lot more wrestling content in the next few weeks as we head on to WrestleMania. But thank you once again for joining us, and I'll see you in the next one.
Welcome to the Rebellious Noise Pro Wrestling channel. On this channel, we bring you some great content from inside and outside of the squared circle. We will go through and offer some in-depth analysis of the biggest events of the year, as well as bringing you exclusive interviews with some of the industry's biggest names. There will also be live show reviews, in-depth features, and podcasts. So make sure you give that subscribe button a slam so you don't miss any of the action.